Speaking of Donald Trump and RFK, there was a story, I think, in the Times today about how in his attempt to get on the ballot in New York State, some of his canvassers, there are reports, are hiding the fact that they're getting people to sign signatures to get him on the ballot. That it's not telling people that it's RFK. They're just saying, like, broadly, like, independent people. And apparently they ran into a judge who was like, wait, what is this I'm signing? And then they freaked out, one of these people. But who knows how widespread it is? I imagine it's pretty widespread. There was also a controversy that apparently RFK's vice presidential pick was surprised on, I think it was, I can't remember whose podcast it was. I think it was Steele's, former Republican National Committee chair. When she heard that Kennedy on that podcast was fully for a woman's right to choose, according to NBC News, the comments appeared to come as a surprise to Nicole Shanahan, Kennedy's running mate. A week prior to the release of Kennedy's conversation with Steele, Shanahan was featured in a podcast episode with the host. Steele asked Shanahan if she agreed with Kennedy's belief that a woman should have the option to have an abortion at full term, to which Shanahan responded with surprise. My understanding with Bobby's position is that, every abortion is a tragedy, a loss of life. My understanding is that he absolutely believes on limits on abortion. And we've talked about this. I don't know where that came from. That's not my understanding of his position. I think maybe there was a miscommunication there.
A little bit. I mean, this is not amazing message discipline from a supposed presidential campaign.
Well, I mean, the real question is RFK as for a woman's right to choose as he claims to be? So much so that he's even said to his vice presidential candidate, like, that's not my position. So that needs to be clarified. Meanwhile, here is Donald Trump very worried that RFK will siphon off votes from him from the anti-vax crowd. And here we go.
RFK Jr. is a Democrat plant, a radical left liberal who's been put in place in order to help crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, get reelected. A lot of people think that Jr. is a conservative. He's not. He's more liberal than anybody running on the Democrat side. A vote for Jr. would essentially be a wasted protest vote that could swing either way, but would only swing against the Democrats if Republicans knew the true story about him. Jr. is totally anti-gun and extreme environmentalist who makes the Green New scammers look very conservative by comparison. A big-time taxer, he wants to tax you. An open border advocate, he wants those borders to be wide open for more people to come in from prisons and mental institutions. And he's anti-military and he's anti-vet. He's an extreme liberal. He's radical left, and radicalized also are his family. They'll never allow him to be a Republican. They've said that we will not let him be a Republican. And his chief funder is the VP candidate that nobody ever heard of, except her ex-husband, who's been stripped of a big chunk of his cash. And he knows exactly what she's all about. She's even more liberal than RFK Jr. She puts herself down as a businesswoman or maybe a doctor, and actually she probably is, because she did a hell of a big number on the husband. That's her business. I guess you could say that she's right, however, because what she's done is given a lot of money to the Democrat causes and the ultra-liberal causes. She's going to be a big hindrance, because when people saw that she was selected, they realized that Jr. was indeed a radical left. She's more liberal than Jr. by far, not a serious person, and only a pot of cash to help her get her no chance candidate on the ballot is what got her there in the first place. I lived with RFK Jr. in New York and watched him convince Governor Cuomo to make environmental moves that were outright nasty and really bad for the state. We have the highest energy costs anywhere in the country, and that's because of RFK.
Let's pause this. I mean, first off, Kennedy is a big supporter of the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
He's a hunter. Also, half his family served in the military. So anti-vet, it's a little hard to sell. And he's certainly not for an open border. His immigration policies are pretty extreme, except for the fact that, Biden seems to be following in his footsteps,
right,
in clamoring to be more draconian at the border. Donald Trump is nervous about this, clearly. I think at one point he says that he's not really anti-vax. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to skip closer to where he says that part. Yeah.
Let's do that, because I love the construct. He keeps open. He's like, he's liberal on this. I want someone from the back to say, how liberal is he? And then,
well, the amazing thing, he's the most liberal person you could be, except for his vice president, who's even more liberal.
Right, exactly.
And I love the fact that, he's right about her being basically there for the cash. I don't even think that she's been on the campaign trail at all.
She gave one speech.
Right, I haven't heard
really
her talk
badly.
either.
Right.
It was just the announcement speech, seemingly.
Yeah, I don't think that she's even been allowed on the campaign trail. Which, you're running an independent. I sort of feel like you might want that, but what do I know?
The other night that vaccines are fine. He said it on a television show, that vaccines are fine. He's all for them. And that's what he said. And for those of you that want to vote because you think he's an anti-vaxxer, he's not really an anti-vaxxer. That's only his political moment. He said it the other night. He's okay with the vaccine. Their energy costs are the highest in the United States, in New York State and New England, because of this guy, with the exception of California and Gavin Newsom, who's the worst governor in the state's history and one of the worst governors in the history of our country.
Get it, scum.
I'd even take Biden over Jr. because our country would.
All right, hold on for a second. Okay, we don't need. So, first off, it sounds like he dropped the anti-vax stuff on his own, because he did it like right in the middle of the energy thing and then came in this complete non sequitur. It's as if I feel like if it was written there, they would say, where? Not just on some TV show. Like, I saw him, he's not a real anti-vaxxer. Think about the idea that the candidate for the Republican Party, former president, very good chance of winning, is trying to claim that the guy that he is afraid of siphoning votes off from him is not a true anti-vaxxer. The implication being that Trump is the true anti-vaxxer. If you really are anti-vaxxer, I'm your guy. He's not your guy.
Which is odd, because he was the president that presided over Operation Warp Speed, which in any sane world he could be bragging about.
I didn't know that vaccine was going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
I wanted hydroxychloroquine, and I wanted to do some bleaching and take ivermectin, but they wouldn't do it.
It was supposed to be Operation Slower Speed.
It was supposed to be
a little slower than warp.
Yeah, we'll send it into space. That's what I thought it meant. Warp speed. But we have a major party presidential candidate who is out there saying, like, I'm more of an anti-vaxxer than the anti-vaxxer in the race.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about being set up. We had this conversation at the beginning of the week, but like, if we get hit with another pandemic within the next 50 years, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.